Hey everyone, it's Mari. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I have a card making process for you today, and I'm mostly going to be using products from Fawn. I'm going to start out here with a piece of Nina Desert Storm cardstock, and I just want to create the impression of some sand on the bottom portion of my card. I'm going to take this stitched hillside border die from Fawn and create that sand area. Now I'm just going to take the My Favorite Things cloud stencil, and I'm going to take some broken China oxide ink from Ranger, and I'm going to just create the impression of some clouds on my cardstock. My card is going to be a side folding 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card, and I'm using some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock here for my card base. And I'm just using this broken China oxide ink here just to, like I said, just very, very lightly create an impression of clouds. I don't want it to be too dark, and I'm going to be die cutting some puffy clouds using a Lawn Fawn die here in a bit, just to create more dimension over top of that cloud area. Now I'm just taking some of that distress ink just to create the blue sky below those puffy clouds, and then I will just adhere that Desert Storm cardstock on the bottom to create the base of the bottom part of the card, the place where my little people are going to be standing. So now I'm going to just take my Misty, and I'm going to stamp out the images that I'm going to be using for the front of my card. And this little Ahoy Matey stamp and die set from Lawn Fawn is adorable. I absolutely love it. I love all of the Lawn Fawn products. I'm pretty addicted, actually. I usually try to pick something up from each of their new releases. I try to limit myself to my very most favorite things, but for this most recent release, this is one of the sets that I got. So I wasn't 100% sure which images I wanted to use on my card front, so I'm just inking up a bunch of different ones in case I want to use them. And you'll just see me opening and closing that window on my Misty, re-inking with my My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink. I'm going to do some Copic coloring, so I wanted to use a Copic friendly ink here for this project. So you can see that I just inked them several times here. I'm just taking a wipe just to clean up my stamps. I'll set that aside and I'll put those stamps away later. So I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit so that you can see my Copic coloring. You know, I am not Sandy Allnock. She is so amazing at Copic coloring. If you want the Copic coloring guru or one of them on YouTube, definitely check her out. You know, I just do really basic Copic coloring. I usually start with my lightest color and then go in with the dark and then blend with the light again. It's very, very simple. I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to obviously use these colors I'm using. If you go on Pinterest, you can actually pin. There's hundreds of Copic pins that you can pin there that show you, you know, what colors go together and how to blend this with that and so on. And like I said, Sandy's channel is also really great. If I remember, I'll link up to Sandy's channel below. She's kind of my go-to person for, you know, watercoloring techniques and, like I said, Copics and colored pencils. I was going to say pencil crayons, but that's a Canadian thing. So colored pencils and just, you know, like all of that kind of stuff. She's just really amazing at it. I mean, like I said, there's lots of other people too that are really great at it. Jennifer McGuire and, you know, Christina Werner, so on and so on. But I really like Sandy's channel as well. Now, like I said, I'm just going to go in and do some really simple coloring here on my little people. I knew that I wanted to use the little boy and girl pirates for sure on my card, and I'm going to use the little treasure chest. I end up coloring the extra little coins and the little jewel, and I end up using that little jewel, but I don't use the little coins. And just using, you know, I usually use the E51 and E53 for my skin tone. That's pretty common. You'll see a lot of Copic coloring artists doing that color combo for their skin, but there's lots of different color combos for Caucasian people. And you can, like I said, you can go and find tons of pins on Pinterest for that. Now, I don't have a huge collection of Copic markers. I just have some basic ones. I find them pretty expensive here in Canada. We pay about $9 a marker here. And what I'll do is I try to, when I go to Michael's, if I don't have something specific to use a coupon for, I will actually go in and I'll every time I go, if I don't have, I'm buying some sale items and then I've got something I can use my coupon for, I will try to pick up a Copic marker. Now, do you guys know about the Copic marker app? There's actually an app that you can get for your phone that has all of the Copic markers on it. And then you can just record there which markers you have, which I find hugely helpful when I'm standing at the Michael's markers selection. I just open up that Copic app and I see, okay, yeah, I've already got these ones and so on and so forth. Which one can I add to my collection? I also like going on to some of the different artist websites, Jennifer McGuire, etc. And they usually, what they'll do is they'll have a list of their favorite markers that they use, the colors that they use the most. And that I find is also really helpful in helping me as I'm learning to use Copic markers and practicing and trying to get better basically at using the markers and the blending techniques and so on. They are a lot of fun to use, and I just find them just a fun way to add color to your projects. Now, what you're watching me do here is I just took that treasure chest stamp and I stamped it on the opposite side that I want to use of this wood grain paper, and that's going to be the back of my chest. And what you'll see that I'm actually going to score this little chest and fold the top over. So I wanted the back to have something on it other than, the back side of my coloring. So I'm just taking a black marker here. This happens to be a Pitt pen, and I'm just going to go in and edge that little chest that I've cut there, and just to finish off the edge. And you can see there that I've also stamped out the Open Here stamp set, and that is from the Push Here stamp and die set from Fawn. And I just what I wanted to do is create a little fold here and then stick that Open Here die or die cut on top of the little treasure chest so that when you open it up, the treasure's inside. And I just backed that with a piece of gold glitter paper that I just cut with a round 5/8 of an inch punch. So there you can see that's going to open up with the treasure inside of it. Now I'm going to take my little girl, my little guy, and I'm going to put the treasure chest, which says Open Here, in between them. And now I'm going to take another die set. This die set's called Palm Trees Die. And I'm going to create another little element for the side of my cart. So over on the side of the little boy and girl pirate, I'm going to have a little palm tree. And I just die cut the stump or the base of the tree with that same wood grain pattern paper. I think that was from the Wonder collection from Crate Paper, actually, from the 6x6 pad. And so the bottom of my tree is going to be in that brown patterned paper. It just kind of looks neat because it actually looks like a bottom of a palm tree that way. And then I used some Fawn patterned paper. That was called, I'm trying to remember, kind of forget what that pad is, but I think I showed it to you there. So it's one of the bright patterned Fawn pads. If I remember, I'll put the name in a caption here on the video. And I just used that for my palm tree top, and then some brown pattern cardstock for my little coconuts. Now I am going to put a sentiment or a little, some phrases on the front of my card here, and I'm going to just do some embossing, some heat embossing with some black embossing powder here. So you can see that I've stamped that out with Versamark ink using my Misty, and it's going to say You're a Treasure on the front. You can see I'm just adding that embossing powder. I'm going to just heat emboss that off camera just so that I don't bore you with watching me heat emboss that. I just took my heat embossing tool and heated that up, and now that's nicely embossed on the front. So now I'm just going to take my Tombow Mono and I'm going to glue the different bits and pieces down. I really like using that glue just because it's so permanent. I mean, yes, the tape runner's fast and it's really awesome, but if you really want things to be super permanent on your card and know that things aren't going to fall apart, like some people actually do save their cards. I really like giving my cards to my sister because she keeps them. I know that at least she keeps them for a while. I know that. And, you know, it's just as a card maker, you like to think that your cards are being appreciated by whoever gets them. I don't expect people to keep them forever, but if they want to keep them for a little while, you don't want them to be falling apart. So that's what I like about using that Tombow Mono glue. It is very, very permanent, and you won't find that your cards are falling apart. So I'm going to just stick all of these little bits and pieces down with that Tombow. I am going to use some little dimensional adhesive stickers from Stampin' Up! To put my little boy and girl pirate onto the card, just so that they're popped up a little bit. Now I'm just going to take one of my brown Copic markers just to create a little bit of ground or a shadow underneath them, so that they're just grounded a little bit on that sand. And it's just, that's very, very simple to do. And the nice thing about that Neenah cardstock is it just takes the Copic ink so nicely. Now my little boy and girl, I don't think I mentioned, I actually stamped them out on Neenah Solar White cardstock, 110 pound. I really liked Copic color on that paper. The Strathmore Bristol Smooth paper is also good for Copic coloring, but I did have a chunk of the Neenah Solar White on my desk, and I just used that for where I wanted to do the Copic coloring. Now you can see that this is mostly finished. I'm just going to take my white gel marker and give my little girl a little dot of white on her cheek, and I'm going to give her little sarong around her waist some little polka dots as well. I'm going to go in with my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to give my gold inside of my treasure chest a little glitter and shine. And I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella to the areas that are in the blue-green Copic color. And I'm also going to do a little bit of finishing on the inside of my card as well here. Now I'm going to take a little bit of glossy accents, and I'm going to add that to the polka dots on her head kerchief. And I'm also going to add that to the little skull and crossbones on the little pirate hat. And I'm going to add a little parrot. I was going to say peacock. Clearly that is not a peacock. A little parrot as well, which is another stamp that comes with Ahoy Matey. I'm going to add that to the top of the hat of the little pirate, and I'm going to add some glossy accents to that as well. I'm going to add another palm tree to the inside of my card, and the sentiment Happy Birthday from the Ahoy Matey set. And my card's going to be finished. I really love how this turned out. Guys, I love card making. I have for a very long time. And I have a card making class over on Big Picture Classes. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's called Crazy Cards for Kids, where I'm making a whole bunch of different cards using a lot of different products, including some Chibitronics. You can see my coconut moved a little bit on the inside there. I just had to reposition that. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you again. Bye, guys.